From the Clark Ford Studio in Oxford, Mississippi, MVW Digital proudly presents the Oxford Exxon Podcast.
I'd say thanks for tuning in, but why am I going to give you a round of applause for something you're supposed to do, to be frank?
And now, here are your hosts, Chase Parham.
And broadcast school has really paid off.
And Neal McCready.
I deserve to be on TV.
Welcome to this Wednesday edition of the Oxford Exxon Podcast. Chase Parham here with you in the Clark Ford Studio this morning. Neal McCready in Fayetteville, getting Campbell settled in Arkansas. So Zach Berry, kind enough to guest host, join me today. I guess RebelGrove.com, recruiting guru, also with Red Cup Rebellion on the Soft Verbal now, presented by Dead Soxy. So jumping over to the Oxford Exxon Podcast today. And also speak with Jeffrey Wright. We'll get his normal Thursday appearance. He's got a good guest on his show this afternoon. We'll talk about that a little bit and more coming up for the next hour or so here with Zach and myself on a podcast brought to you every single day by the Oxford Exxon, Highway 6 West in Oxford. Go in, get your daiquiri. $3.99 for the cheapest, 44 ounces for the largest. You can also get good gas prices courtesy of the Mobile Rewards Program, the Speed Pass Plus app, and much more there with the Oxford Exxon. The 49-cent bottomless refills will be back soon because of the Stadium Cups available at Vaught Hemingway Stadium. And I mentioned coming to you from the Clark Ford Studio. Clark Ford's in Amory, Mississippi, 662-257-1900, Highway 25 South there in Amory. Corey wants to be your car guy, your truck guy. He will help you out. He'll get you a quote within 15 minutes during business hours. And when you mention the podcast, toward the end of the deal, he'll knock $500 off there for you. You get great service and more there with Clark Ford. Zach, good morning. Appreciate you jumping on and you kind of getting away from recruiting a little bit. That's kind of been your lane, but we'll branch out a little today.
Yeah, good morning. It's good to be here. I'm happy to try to step in and fill some of the shoes that Neal does every day.
You just have to yell and scream ever so often. Really, that's the only requirement to be Neal is to get really mad about something and yell a little bit.
I asked him for some advice, and he all he said was just keep it real.
Just keep it real.
That's it. So
let's do a little Oxford Exxon starter pack. Is this your first appearance?
This is my first one.
All right. Let's do this. We used to do this with a lot of guests. Haven't done it in a while, but Neal and I have done it. One condiment for life. What do you got? You only get one.
Mustard.
Just regular yellow mustard?
Yeah, just yellow mustard.
Really?
Very versatile.
Okay. If I told you could have all variants of a condiment, do you stay with mustard so you get the brown and the whole deal? Or do you do something else?
That's a tough one. Yeah, I'd probably stick with it. I'm not a big fan of ketchup, so there's not really anything else.
I don't do much with ketchup other than put it on pizza, which freaks everybody out.
I forgot about that.
It's just Pizza Hut pizza. It's just a nostalgia thing. It's just from when I was young. I don't know. I don't do it with anything but Pizza Hut meat lovers. That's it.
Okay.
But it's just a thing.
Man.
Just dip it in it. I don't know. I hate ranch dressing. I hate mayonnaise. I hate sour cream. Because mine's cocktail sauce. I like something a little spicy.
Okay.
I would actually do cocktail sauce. All right. Where do we stand on Field of Dreams?
It's okay.
It's okay. That's fair.
Yeah. Very indifferent.
What is your Rocky order?
Ooh, let's see. I think I've got to go. Man, it's so hard. I think I got to go 4 first. And then right behind it is one. And then after that, they're just kind of all clumped together. Do we throw Creed in here with this? Or is it just Rockies?
No, you can throw Creed in. I'll allow it.
Okay. Creed would be 3.
Okay.
This might just piss everybody off. I haven't seen Creed 2 yet. But I've heard really good things.
Okay.
And then I would probably go Rocky 2, then Rocky 3, and then 5 and Balboa were terrible.
It's a little bit of an unfair question to you, simply from the standpoint of I know it transcends generations, but you're younger than me even, and I'm too young for Rocky, other than just watching it later, obviously. I mean, Rocky 1 came out 7 years before I was born.
Right. I guess Rocky, the original, is kind of like the ketchup on Pizza Hut meat lovers for me. It's like a nostalgia thing. But yeah, I've watched that movie tons of times, and just the whole origin story, where it all began, kind of gets me. But I mean, I don't know. Rocky 4 is far and away
because it's the best popcorn flick. You can just turn it on. It's a rewatchable. The other ones aren't as much of a rewatchable because they do have slow moments. It's more into the drama and the sentimentality and that kind of stuff. Rocky 4, you're just watching to be entertained. It's a lot like Top Gun. It just sort of symbolizes the 80s. It's an 80s movie.
Yeah, and the whole time you're just like, there's no way he's beating him. But he does. So you know, like, you're going to get the happy ending, and everything's going to work out. And then the soundtrack is incredible. You get all the montages.
Well, I was bored. I wasn't bored. I was working the other day, and I always put something on in the background. It doesn't matter what it is. I just put something on the television in the background while I'm working. And I rewatched Top Gun. And as much as we talk about Top Gun, I haven't seen Top Gun in 5 years. I mean, unless I caught a minute of it on somewhere. If you really try to break it down at all, the dialogue in this movie is horrid. Just horrid. I mean, I'm watching it and I'm going, okay, it's such the 80s movie. It's great. I mean, it's pretty tight. It's not an overly long movie. All good. But just when you take the lines by themselves, you go, oh my gosh, somebody wrote this.
Yeah. It's... so I was actually talking to some people last night at dinner about like a similar 80s movie, or not similar movie, but just a movie from the 80s that it's like, I watched it like a couple weeks ago for the first time in forever, and I was like, this movie is insane. I watched Roadhouse.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's great. Patrick Swayze and Sam Elliott are, kicking ass and being cool, but it's just like, this Brad Wesley guy is just killing everybody in town, and no one, like, where are the cops? Like, okay, he owns the cops? Okay, well, like, go get some other police department or a sheriff or a U.S. Marshal. Like, this dude's just killing people that are in his way.
You don't think it's normal for somebody to have a monster truck and then people to walk into bars with knives or blades sticking out of their boot? That's not common?
That's not, yeah. Just go to the local car dealership and, just run over all the cars, threaten people with like a smirk, and then walk away. Yeah,
that might be a good summer topic or winter topic when things slow down a little bit. Is most outrageous 80s movies, putting them in order. That's got to be up there.
Yeah, it's wild for sure.
So,
yeah.
So let's talk a little football. We'll get to Jeffrey here in a little bit, but Ole Miss continuing its August camp preparation for August 31st against Memphis, 11 a.m. at the Liberty Bowl, when it's going to be hotter than the surface of the sun on the field. And frankly, I wrote about it a little yesterday. This week's been a good preparation for that. I was talking to one of the coaches yesterday, and he said, they handled the heat pretty well, and frankly, they needed a week like this because we haven't had a crazy summer up until the last couple of weeks. It's been relatively mild compared to what we normally have. The temperature on the turf on Tuesday was over 150 degrees. On the artificial field on campus. It was scorching again yesterday, and them handling that and creating some depth from the standpoint of heat and football depth is a really big deal. Now, I mean, obviously you got to take care of the kids. You can't let anything happen, but at the same time, getting them exposed to some of that is a really big deal, and it kind of shows you what camp is like right now, to where, there's storylines, but everything's revolving around staying healthy and just getting to August 31st in the best way possible. A lot of even the position battles, Rodriguez, especially on offense, they use so many personnel groupings that if you're competent, you're going to play. You're going to get an opportunity. We always make fun of depth charts, and that's kind of a sight gag thing in a lot of ways. But right now, it's just a matter of getting as many healthy bodies to August 31st as you humanly can.
Right, and you mentioned it in your extra points today, talking about Rich Rod and just, whether you're young, old, as long as you get it, you're going to get reps. He mentioned mentally Jonathan Mingo was coming along, and he said he was going to play.
Yeah, so he might start, actually, which I know doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it is notable.
Right, and I think that most of this staff has been like that. Once Matt Luke got them here, it was we don't care, what classification you are, you're going to play. Jacob Peeler has been big on that. He's going to play whoever, knows the scheme, knows, routes, whatever. I mean, Elijah Moore played a lot. So yeah, mentally, and that's what's going to be, I think the biggest hurdle is just mentally, because the first 4 games are so crucial to how this season's going to play out, in my opinion, and y'all have talked about this on the show, but yeah, mentally they have to be locked in for that first game, because, I mean, it's kind of a cop-out because it's the opener, but I think it's by and large the most important game on the schedule.
You have a little different perspective than we do. We get a little tunnel vision. We have blinders on at times. We've covered it for so long. So I'm going to ask it this way. What are you most interested with the camp right now?
I would say, most interesting thing, the quarterback, the second string quarterback battle has been interesting.
And I think it's almost over.
Yeah. So Tisdale has really surprised a lot of people. Not that I didn't think he would. I thought Tisdale was a guy that's probably 1 or 2 years away. Played at a extremely high level, 6A or 7A.
One of the top high school programs in the country.
Yeah, been there, done that, big stage. I mean, he's played at Jerry World numerous times. So I thought, he'd get there. He'd be swimming a little bit, but he'd get the hang of it, maybe redshirt and then play year 2 or 3. But he's been, apparently the lights come on with him. Plumlee's always going to be there, in my opinion. He's too athletic. He's too versatile. I think he's always going to have some kind of package with Rich Rod, whether that's come in, run a zone read, run a speed option. That's been, for me, kind of what I've been looking at, just future-wise, kind of how he's going to, run the offense, because I think that all the quarterbacks in the room are all different, which I think is intriguing. Because Corral's, the NFL arm guy. He's mobile, but he's not super fast, but just all the arm talent in the world. Then you've got Tisdale, who's just kind of a, little mold of everything. He can run, pretty good arm, pretty heady. And then you've got Plumlee, who's just, lightning in a bottle type speed. Arm is decent, and then just super athletic. Could probably go out there. Plumlee's the guy that if you were to tell me in 7 years, he's the second wide receiver for the Patriots, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, it brings up a good point, because I do think Tisdale has separated himself, especially with Kincaid Dent injured right now. It's a situation where Tisdale had the spring, again, comes from a very prominent program, and just kind of pick things up. Also, Plumlee, he's not doing baseball yet necessarily, but there's just so much on the plate there. There's so much, and, he's used to it. He's done it his entire high school career. I think he has the right mentality, the right mindset for it, but it's still a lot. So I do think Tisdale is ahead. Rich Rod basically said that yesterday. I'll have a Tisdale story up later today on RebelGrove.com. But I'll tell you what, too, Tisdale, and this is a small thing. I get that you can't say, hey, this guy's going to be a great football player because he did this. But I don't recall a freshman especially doing this yesterday. So we interviewed Tisdale. And look, maybe they've interviewed Tisdale 1,000 times. I don't know. I haven't. Neal's covered the most of football, especially in the spring, because I'm dealing with baseball. So he comes in, answers all the questions. For a freshman, very, very polished. Gave answers that he was trying to be as thorough as possible with what he could answer. He knew what not to answer, which is more important. And then when he left, he looked everybody in the eye, he wanted names, and he shook every media member's hand on the way out. I've never seen that before from a freshman.
Oh.
And
wow.
I thought, huge deal? No, but, okay. There is something there to that. He finished it up with eye contact and really tried to look at every single person in this little scrum before he left the room, and I went, just telling you, there's an intangible there that I'm going to kind of remember if it matters one day.
I feel like I need to do that now when I leave a room.
shake some hands, a little eye contact. Yeah.
Maybe that's something that he picked up over time. As I don't know if you do this, I'm bad about it most of the time. When I meet someone, mentally, I'm more concerned about how I present myself and introduce myself to where I just don't even listen to their name. And to where, like, I do the trick where I'm like, hey, this is my wife. And, this is, and then I, like, wait. And then they introduce themselves again. And I'm like, okay, now I got your name.
Yeah, you almost want to tell your wife, hey, can you walk over and introduce yourself and then tell me what his name is?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that is impressive. I mean, maybe that was something.
It's just a little attention to detail, and if you're playing quarterback, there's a lot of attention to detail. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's wild. That's
it kind of caught me off guard.
Definitely not a bad thing.
I mean, I'll be honest. I'm just kind of like he stops talking, and you kind of mumble, "Hey, thanks, Grant," whatever, and you're turning your recorder off, and you're waiting on Elijah Moore or whoever's coming out next, and yeah, he kind of stayed there for a second, and I was like, "What's he doing?" And he was like, "Hey, appreciate it, whatever." It's like, "Oh, okay, well."
Yeah. Wow. I will say one more thing that I was looking at in fall camp before we move on.
No, you're good.
Was the development of the linebackers, and I'm watching it more so now because of that quote that Jock Jones gave last week. And I don't know if you're familiar or remember what it was, but he essentially said something along the lines of, last year we didn't really know what we were doing. We didn't know our assignments, where to line up, where to go. We were just finding the ball and running towards it. And he was like, this year it's different. We know what we're doing. We know where to line up. We know what gaps are. And I just thought that was just unbelievable. Not only that the defense was like that last year, but that Gus Malzahn hired the guy who was teaching that.
Yeah, it plays into the story that I'm not ready to tell yet. That we'll tell in a few weeks. But yes, that is accurate.
Okay, I have the quote.
Okay,
so
go ahead. Yeah.
Quote: last year I was just kind of running around out there trying to run to the ball. This year I actually know what I'm doing. I know the gaps to read, the calls, what the position is supposed to do in different situations. It's just a whole different game for me now. Last year I didn't know the position. This year I do.
It's a really damning quote.
That's insane.
And it means that he is comfortable enough with the current staff to go after the old staff. And no, he's just telling the truth. He's not going after him, but you know what I mean. It'd be easy to just not say that.
Yeah. For sure, yeah. And he could have said it and then been, oh crap, like I hope Crime Dog doesn't see this. But yeah, I mean it's truth hurts.
Look, they didn't line up correctly a lot. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, for all the jokes about eye discipline, I mean, that was the problem. They didn't know where to look.
Well, you have to start there. I mean, they also had, because like when McGrew always talked about eye discipline, in my opinion, it was, you got to get lined up, you got to do all these things right. But it's also, so much of bad tackling is not having the speed to get to the spot you're supposed to get to.
Right.
You got to be able to get there.
And that's, I've said that a lot this offseason where I'm like, at least this year, I think the tackling will improve because they'll be in the right spot to where, if anything, they'll just get run into and just arm tackle them. But yeah, last year they weren't in the right spot or they were, too slow to read something. So then you're not there to make the tackle.
So Lakia Henry still at that linebacker spot with the first team on the part of practice that we get to see. It's been several days in a row of that. And now look, they signed Lakia Henry to come in and play. He chooses Ole Miss over Arkansas and Texas. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about that. Willie Hibbler's been hurt a little bit. He's back. Do you think it's injury related to some extent? And I know you haven't seen a thing. We're just talking. This feels like, though, the start of a separation where Henry is going to seize that job, in my opinion.
Man,
they're all going to play, but
right. How good would it be for 2 years in a row for them to get JUCO guys that play immediately? They had Scotty Phillips last year, came in, was arguably going to run for 1,100 yards if he didn't get injured. And then now if they get Lakia Henry, he comes in, makes 80, 85 tackles this season, is somewhat of a leader. I mean, that's two in a row because, you've been doing this longer than I have, but just following recruiting, I mean, typically JUCO guys need a year, especially SEC. that was kind of the deal with like guys like Patrick Trahan and Ashley Palmer. But yeah, that is something to where I was waiting on it to happen. The coaches they try to be a little guarded in interviews where they don't really give away too much as far as who's leading, who's not. But his name has popped up a lot in the last week when you guys would get media opportunities. Yeah, they need Lakia Henry to play a lot because you've got Sonogo, you've got Hibbler, you've got some of the known commodities that played a ton of snaps last year. So you kind of have somewhat of a safety net. I know the position was bad, but you have these guys that have SEC experience. So if you can get Lakia Henry in, then that's just a win-win.
It's the things you have to take a step that is either not expected or just to kind of get there depending on what other injuries you have. Because you look at, everybody talks about, hey, can this season be a 2012 type season? Well,
right.
I mean, look from JUCO standpoint that year. You're talking about Pierce Burton. You're talking about Bo Wallace. You need those immediate JUCO impact guys because that's what you want. There's been some schools that go, hey, we're going to go out, we're going to sign 12 JUCOs, and it's going to be this. No, that's dumb. You have to stock the cupboard in a smart way, but they've got to be fill-ins, and you're never going to hit 100%, but you need the critical positions to be able to hit immediately, and that's what Lakia Henry at least maybe has the chance to do, is what Sam Williams maybe has the chance to do, is to come in and solidify those spots where you really, really need something solidified immediately. I mean, because they've gotten lucky with that over the years. I mean, even, and I know this guy started D1, but even like Fawn Cooper or somebody. I mean, they've gotten those pickups in the past. So we'll see. We'll come back in a minute. We'll talk to Jeffrey Wright. We'll come back and continue our discussion as well. If we do that, let's tell you about Community Mortgage, Oxford, Memphis, Settle County, and Chattanooga. All underwriting and processing is done in Memphis. So you're getting local underwriting and understands your market, a leader in condo financing and the float down option, so you can lock in the current rate. But if rates go down before you close, you get that lower rate. 662-234-2704 or JLOWE at communitymtg.com. Also, Neal's been telling you about the whole hog roast, the pig roast coming up at Wonderbird out in Taylor. That is a Blue Delta event. So if you listen to this podcast, you're invited. September 6th, 6 o'clock. You can show up. You can have some libations. You can have some food. The hog is going to be prepared by Mitch McCamey of Neon Pig. Great guy. We had him on Bourbon South a few weeks ago. So super dude, really cool event the night before Ole Miss and Arkansas. And if you would like any information about Blue Delta, you can email them at info@bluedeltajeans.com. They're all over social media. So come out, have a good time. We'll be there, and we'll eat some barbecue and have a drink and whatnot. So that's coming up September 6th for that. Also, speaking of events, visit oxfordms.com/events. It's the place to go to find out what all's going on in Oxford this fall, where to stay, what to eat, do, see, events, the about, and more. You go to that website, everything you need to find out what's going on in Oxford. You got music and movies in the park, August 16th, and then a week later, it really, really starts picking up for the fall with the Music and Arts Festival. There's a couple open houses, and the Square Books 40th anniversary is at the Lyric on August 24th. Art Crawl returns August 27th. So tons of going on. Again, that is visit oxfordms.com to find out more and to continually see the list of events going on in Oxford. Also, the podcast brought to you in part by Mastercuts Lawn and Landscape. They do provide premium lawn care throughout northern Mississippi, but they do a lot more as well. They build custom playgrounds, retaining walls, pool decks, outdoor living spaces with paver patios, forestry mulching, and much more. You can find out more about how to get your dream backyard at gomastercuts.com or get a free quote with 662-607-7773. Again, gomastercuts.com. Now here's Jeffrey Wright. Good morning, Jeffrey. Here on your usual Thursday appearance on the show. The publisher is in Fayetteville, getting Campbell checked in with the University of Arkansas, so you and I chat a little bit today. I get asked this every time you're on. If I don't ask you, so I'll do it here. Obligatory Memphis update. Is there anything coming out of Tigers camp?
No! Oh!
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. I'm just going through some back spasms. I might have some time off. I'm sorry. I'm fighting through it, man. I'm fighting through it. I don't know if I can work today.
I hear those are very painful, Jeffrey.
I hear they're very painful. I know some people might be able to get around on, some type of scooter or whatnot, but I think I need to take some time off. Pray for me. They hurt really bad.
It's on me that I didn't realize that's where you were going. That's my fault.
Mm-hmm.
Does he coach the first game?
No.
You don't think so?
No.
You do not think he's on the sidelines in 16 days, 15 days, whatever it is?
Well, whenever the back spasm started, tack on about 28 days, and that's when I think you might be able to see him available.
Okay. It's a really inopportune time to have some back spasms.
It is. It's almost like really it's what's the word? Illogical? You ever heard of a coach missing games for back spasms?
I don't think so. I haven't done a lot of research on it. Haven't Googled it. But yeah, not off the top of my head.
You're not having to play. You can use medical devices if you are in pain.
There was some coach that just sat on a stool the whole game a few years ago.
Yeah, Derek Dooley.
So it was? Okay. Yeah.
I mean, there have been head coaches that have coached from the press box.
It's true.
So they can sit down. Never heard of a coach missing time for back spasms.
In the middle of fall camp.
Right. No offense to anyone out there with back spasms.
No, again, that part was actually true. I think actual back spasms hurt like hell.
I do agree. I mean, at times you've seen when, like when Tiger had him. I mean, Tiger is a drama queen, but I mean, for God's sakes, like he'd have to go down to the ground. He was also swinging a golf club at 130 miles an hour, and he wasn't trying to call trips right, throw it deep. And if it doesn't work, why'd you throw it there?
As an aside, because Neal's gone, so we can talk about whatever we want to, is he going to pick himself for the President's Cup?
I think it's entirely dependent on health.
If he feels like he can play multiple days, you think he picks himself?
Yes. And I think he should pick himself.
Does he pick Patrick Reed?
I mean, at this point, don't you kind of have to?
Just because he won a tournament last week?
I mean, Reed has always been streaky. I mean, he runs hot, he runs cold. But I mean, listen, I don't know many people out there that hate Reed more than I do, and I would pick him. In a team format, who do you have more faith in? And I include that he shot 84 in the Ryder Cup on his own ball and then blame Tiger.
Was it really 84?
Most indications were he was going to shoot something that started with an 8.
Ew. Okay.
Fairways were tight, man.
Yeah, they were. I understand.
They were not forgiving to a helicopter cut.
We don't have to talk about President's Cup. I just was curious. Back to my initial question, though, in all seriousness. Anything out of Memphis?
They think their defense is better.
Yeah, okay. Do you buy it?
Yeah, because they've gotten some new guys on the defensive front, and last year they were small, and though they were small, they were slow. So, they're a little better there. Man, I don't know. You and I have talked about this game, I feel like,
ad nauseum at this point.
Yeah, both on and off. And I'm not even trying to do a cop-out for the audience. It's just to the point that I've told Chase, I legitimately have no idea. I really don't. Because I don't know what Ole Miss's offensive line is going to look like. I do not know what Memphis's defense is going to look like. It just seems to me that this is going to be fairly obvious. This game feels like that it's two relatively evenly matched teams, and whichever quarterback makes the catastrophic mistake, it feels like that's the team that's going to lose.
Is this the year Norvell finally gets out of there? Or is whatever the hell is in his whatever just what it is?
It's a fascinating question. Where do they go? What's their record?
Well, to have the juice to get out, their record's got to be at least 10-2. Because, I mean, look, right or wrong, they're getting hyped up right now as one of these 5 teams that's favored in every game this season. So, rightly
Correct.
or wrongly, anything below 10-2 is a failure.
I mean,
But you could probably survive by losing to UCF and Ole Miss and get out.
right? They don't play UCF this year, so that it's. But I mean, just because you're favored in every game, like ESPN FPI basically has them going 9-3. So I know he wanted the Kansas State job last year and he didn't get it. So
Well, he's wanted a lot of jobs, and they get broken down at essentially the point of background checks every time.
Correct.
Yeah, teams that are favored to win every game this season: Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Oklahoma, Michigan, Washington, Memphis.
Yeah, so, I mean, my gut's no.
That he's still in Memphis.
Correct. My gut, I just feel like if you can't get the Kansas State job, I don't know. I don't know in 12 months how things can substantially change.
I mean, is Dude a lifer?
I do not know the answer to that.
Because here's the thing. I don't know how he gets any hotter when he's at Memphis than he is now. Or than he was a year ago, whatever. Pick your time period.
Yeah,
it's impossible to do more unless... it's impossible. I mean, I guess you in theory could become UCF and take that next little PR step, but Is that really feasible?
I think the top end... They didn't win the division, but Houston was also better. But Fuente maximized more than Norvell has. It's just Norvell won the division twice. But Norvell kind of won the division last year. Remember when 5-3 would every now and then win the SEC West?
Yeah, sure.
That's kind of what happened last year. They kind of won by default.
I mean, they could lose to Ole Miss. They could lose to Navy. I have no idea what Temple is.
I think it's their last.
Houston, USF, and Cincinnati's their close.
Yeah, their last 4 are pretty tough. They could lose at Temple. I don't know. It feels like the floor's 8-4. I could be wrong, but it feels like the floor's 8-4.
Ceiling's 11-1. They're not going undefeated.
They're not going undefeated. I guess I'd say that 11-1, but I'm closer to 10-2 than I am to 11-1. 11-1.
I also have another Memphis question for you. It just got sent to us, and then I thought about it earlier in the week and kind of had it written down. Lausanne becoming the little legend that could here. Just nothing to see about a top 10 kid turning down Oak Hill.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but Chase, Lausanne is one of the finest international schools in the entire United States of America.
Okay.
And, I can't think of... Listen, New York City, it's nice, but I mean, come on. It was Queens. I mean, when you got the opportunity to go to Lausanne Collegiate School, you just can't turn it down. It's like when Duke comes calling.
I get that you have hours of radio upcoming every single day when I ask this question. At what point does this crash and burn?
Getting a kid from Queens to go to Lausanne's probably...
We're headed up the mountain, aren't we?
Yeah, that's kind of like going into Starkville and getting the number 1 player. Like your time's coming.
When did Lausanne decide they want to be Innsworth? Like, what got them in the sports business? Because they were not in the sports business 5 years ago.
They've been in the football business for a while.
Have they really? Okay.
Well, that's where Eric Gray was.
Yeah.
So Kevin Castro, who was the coach at Christian Brothers pretty much my entire high school career, he's now at Lausanne, and let's just say they got a great identification system. They really do. And I'm not even saying this like as an MUS like spoiled grapes guy. It's one thing to offer educational opportunities to kids that just so happen to play football. Lausanne appears to be better at figuring out which kids can actually play football.
Where are they in the hierarchy up there now?
They're in like the I can't remember if they're in the lowest division or the middle division. I think they're in the middle division because they've added. It's back to 3 divisions, so they're in the middle one, and they are. I mean, I think they went like 3 years without losing a game.
Oh, really?
Yeah. No, they're a program in their division.
Okay.
Force to be reckoned with.
Is their basketball program any good?
So their basketball program had fallen on hard times, but
it's picking back up now.
Let's just say, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, so too does a link from Lausanne.
Sorry.
Push pause. Jeff's calling me. Hang on.
Yep.
Hey. Yeah, so here's what I've got. I've got the woo. I've got the woo. I've got you. I'll get that ringing up, and then I will you setting the lineup right after halftime was tremendous. Yeah, those are what and I'll get the ring it up, put 3 on the board. Got it. Yeah, sure. If there's some filler stuff I can take out, take it out. All right. Sorry.
No, you're good. Okay. All right, 1, 2. Yeah, last thing on that, really. I mean, are they good this year? Penny and them?
Yeah.
What's the ceiling this year?
Final 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, they've got the number 1 player in the country. They've got a top 40 point guard. They've got 2 more top 50 kids on the wings. They got a transfer in Lance Thomas that's pretty good. Yeah.
The Ole Miss game's up there, right?
It is in Memphis. They play Memphis and Ole Miss play in the afternoon. Actually, this is not a Homer Memphian promoting the city, but it actually, if you are someone that wants to come to a weekend, it's a great weekend in Memphis because Memphis and Ole Miss play in the early afternoon, and then that night, Bron and the Lakers come to town. So you can do a nice little Saturday night doubleheader, go get you some ribs or go go to Catherine and Mary's, make a night of it. That'll be a really fun Saturday.
Is this your last weekend before high school kicks up?
It is indeed. My last high school starts next Friday. Huge dagger. We play on Labor Day weekend, so the Wright family excursion, annual excursion to Stream Song, is on pause this year, and
because of you.
Yeah, it's sad.
So how pissed off are your brothers?
They love me. I've paved the way for them. I've done so much for them. They thank me every single day, just for the leadership and, setting a standard that's not very
preserving
difficult.
The family name, if you will.
Well, more importantly, setting the bar so low that they basically just had to be barely average, and they were going to exceed all expectations. So, if I were them, I'd not be pleased.
You talk into microphones, give or take 16, 17 hours a week. What compels you to spend Friday nights doing the same thing?
I love football.
Okay.
And I love that school.
Okay.
And there's something still about high school football. Like, how the propaganda talks about college football being pure and, like all the idea of playing for your school and whatnot. Yeah, I know some people go, well, MUS recruit. It's like, okay, but there's 5 kids on the team that play that you can make that argument for. And they're going up against everyone else that's doing it. And the public schools recruit too. Let's not get past it. But it's kind of like the last frontier of what I actually love about football. And I don't know. I really enjoy it. And also I don't think it hurts. I don't, for instance, I'll be completely candid. The biggest reason that I got the afternoon show is most people that are hosts, they're not willing to still be producers. It's like I'm choosing to still be an assistant coach on, the basketball team so that I could get the head job on the football team. And, most people don't do that, but I don't know what the future of radio, I don't know what the future of sports broadcasting and media looks like. So my thought process is I do not need to limit myself. If, I'm not saying that I can end up getting hired by, some big network to be a play-by-play guy from calling MUS football games, but there's just a pretty powerful guy at CBS Sports that his son was the starting quarterback last year, and he listened to every single game, so it can't hurt. I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, in some ways, it probably keeps you sharp, too, because it's such a different thing than what you're typically doing. I mean, not to get off on some media thing in our last 5-10 minutes, whatever, but, I mean, it is different muscles for that than anything else you do.
It's a completely different skill set. And, like our golf games, Chase, we want to be well-rounded.
Yeah.
We don't want to you don't want to just pound driver. If you can't hit your wedges, you're going to get exposed. And so, I'm trying to make sure that I'm solid off the tee. I'm never going to be good with my irons. I'm trying to get as good with my wedges and my putting as possible. And that's kind of how I view it.
You gave yourself a C on iron play yesterday, which is not making me overly warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, but you saw where I gave myself a solid B, though, with the driver.
I did.
And no wild misses. I mean, listen, the biggest thing is Daddy's rolling the flat stick right now. And as well as anyone, when the putter gets hot, look out. I've always been an apathetic ball striker with the irons. That's just not all that interested. You can hit it close, but birdie putts are way harder to hit than 12-footers for par. And, I'd rather make those good grindy pars that are really annoying to everyone else and breaks down the psyche of whoever's playing with you in the group. I'd much rather hit those than just have this barrage of birdies where you're just, listen, anyone can go shoot 71. It takes a special kind of player to hit 3 greens and break 80.
Because the Redbirds were in town, did y'all have to even spend a second on this dang guy that died during taco night in California?
We did not. Speaking of the Redbirds in town, I have perhaps the single biggest interview I've ever had in my life today.
Oh, what do you got?
Chase, one Michael Squints Palladorus will be joining us today at 3:25 Central Daylight Time on Giannato and Jeffrey.
What's the background on this one?
So I guess the Redbirds do a tremendous job with promotions. So the backstory on the Redbirds is the Cardinals, remember, bought them, it might even be closer to 10 years ago now.
Yeah, I remember that.
Cardinals bought them, and then the Cardinals, like, within 6 seconds, were like, whoa, we do not want to be in the minor league baseball business. Like, we have no idea what we're doing on this. And so I give them credit. They found this group, I think, that were originally like based out of Pennsylvania, but basically what they are is they're a investment type group that owns minor league franchises, and it's like their expertise, and they know how to run them. And these guys do just an awesome job. I mean, their promotions are great. They get minor league sports. And so they're doing a Sandlot night tonight. It turns out Chauncey Leopardi found a open date in his schedule. I know he's busy. And tonight, he's going to be throwing out the first pitch. I presume he'll be signing autographs. Kind of like, remember what Kermit did when he threw out the first pitch?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And then after the game, they're going to put on their video board, they're going to play the Sandlot after the game.
It's a good idea. It's a very good idea.
So I know y'all have been crapping on Field of Dreams, but if you crap on the Sandlot...
No, the Sandlot hits the correct heartstring. It gets it right.
Because at its core, it's the story of a kid who's having to deal with new family dynamics. Dad's dead, new stepdad coming in, new in town, kind of a nerdy type kid, and it's the story of how he makes friends, and then baseball is the device that kind of binds them all together. And then on top of that, the other thing that I love about it is, it ends with the old ball player that, he's kind of lonely, and all he wants to do is just talk baseball and talk about his life. And I don't know, there's just something about it, man. I just think it's a great freaking movie.
How did Aaliyah enjoy her first Major League Baseball experience over the weekend? You were in St. Louis.
Shout outs to Stubby Clapp. Also, I'd be remiss if I didn't, of course, give the appropriate shout out. Shout outs to Big Jeff for playing Stubby Clapp on his baseball team, or Stubby Clapp's son on his baseball team. He got us BP. He got us BP passes, and it was cool because he did it. Like, we get, like, I don't know if you've ever seen BP. When they let you watch BP, there's like 3 sections. There's like this, we were basically in the first class section, and we got to kind of thumb our nose up to the coach writers that were watching BP. So it was awesome. Aaliyah touched a Major League Baseball field before she sat in a Major League Baseball seat in the stadium.
You had to at least contemplate that you're setting a poor standard here.
Well, I did let her know on the front end, this is not normal. And
don't be getting any ideas.
Correct. And so our birthdays are 10 days apart. And this was the weekend in between our birthdays. And we did the whole, we don't want to have to worry about getting each other gifts. Like, this was kind of like, let's take a trip together, and this is what we did. And her suggestion, not mine.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you stand on emos? I don't know that you and I have ever discussed this. I've got a St. Louis buddy who is in love with it. I hate it. I think it's bad pizza.
the crust tastes like a cracker.
Okay.
The sauce is not bad. I don't know. Every time I have it, I feel like it's like the best version of like Domino's thin crust if you get it square cut.
Okay. Is that a compliment or not?
Listen, I'm not a. I mean,
you're not a huge. You're not the anti-Domino's guy, are you?
No, and like, listen, 2 mediums for $5.99. Is it the best pizza out there in the world? Absolutely not. But to act like that can't fill your belly during a football Sunday when you're watching, 11 hours of football and drinking 16 Bud Lights, like to act like that you're above that, like, kiss my ass.
I won't eat Little Caesars.
Little Caesars is
I won't eat it.
Like gambling. Because you can get a hot and ready for $5 that is fantastic. You can also get a hot and ready that was cooked 6 weeks ago. And it's
just get the Domino's for $5.99 or get the whatever for $8.
Yeah, I mean, Little Caesars is convenience. Like, that's just the thing. Like, if
you don't want to wait the 12 minutes.
Right, you don't need to order. Yeah, it's literally just like, okay, I'm on the way home. I don't want to deal with anything else. Like, I'm just grabbing it. But to sit there and say that there have been opportunities in my life that I've gotten a hot and ready and didn't enjoy it, that'd be disingenuous.
Okay. So Squints at 320, is that correct?
325 for Michael Squints Palidorus. I'm going to ask him if he invented shooting your shot.
Ooh. You think that became a thing after that?
I think he did, man.
Hey, what's the worst that could happen? Sure.
I think he did. He's a trailblazer.
Okay. Appreciate it, bud.
All right.
Thanks to Jeffrey for joining us on the podcast today. Podcast also presented by Dead Soxy. With warm weather, not just on the horizon, but definitely here, it comes with a debate of sock or no sock with your loafers. Save your feet and your shoes from making their own impression. Step into spring with no shows from Dead Soxy. You need to experience the difference a quality sock makes. The first step in dressing for the job you want, not the job you have. You can go to deadsoxy.com. Enter Rebel Grove at checkout. You get 30% off all sell items there with Dead Soxy. Also, don't miss 1 minute of the action at the Vault this season as Ole Miss football arrives just in a couple weeks now. You can get some different season ticket pricing and whatnot for just $299. And for more info, visit OleMissTix.com. Also, Neal's postgame columns and this podcast are also sponsored by Pinnacle Trust. Pinnacle Trust is based in Madison, Mississippi, but represents clients in 24 states, has advisors in 3 different states. Founded in 1997, Pinnacle Trust provides detailed, specialized investment management, financial planning, retirement planning for individuals and businesses, and much more. Investing is treated like a commodity. Decisions are made using objective information and research, not emotions. Regardless of your level of wealth, Pinnacle Trust will sit down with you, listen to your goals, study your expenses, and put forth a comprehensive, detailed financial plan. You can find out more at pintrust.com. That's PINN trust.com. And mention you heard about Pinnacle Trust on the podcast. You'll get 10% off the first year's fee. So, you wrote a little on Rebel Grove, or Red Cup, not Rebel Grove, yesterday about a season that another redshirt freshman quarterback had. And whether Ole Miss fans would take that as a redshirt freshman season for Matt Corral. I'll let you cross promote a little, and I'll let you introduce it to me here on the show.
Okay, so just some background to it. So a buddy of mine, Justin Kemp, shout out to him. He has lots of good ideas. He texted me and was like, "Hey, without looking it up, would you take Aaron Murray's 2010 redshirt freshman season right now without knowing what Corral did?" And so I didn't look it up, and I was like, well, I literally had no idea. Could not remember that particular season for Mr. Murray. I was like, no, like I'm going to take my chances with Corral, with Rich Rod, the offense, blah, blah, blah. So he proceeded to tell me the year that Aaron Murray had that year. So are you ready?
Sure, yeah.
Well, I guess I'll throw you the question, which I guess you kind of can figure out what your answer should be by what I'm probing here. But
well, even without you talking to me, Georgia. I mean, Murray's obviously a name. He obviously almost took Georgia to the national title. They lose that game to Alabama eventually. I don't even remember what year that was. It could have been his final season. I don't recall. So, my gut, though, is yes, simply from the standpoint of, obviously, I don't think Aaron Murray crashed and burned. I think they were probably a pretty successful football team. I think they probably won games. And with a redshirt freshman, I think I'll take the known quantity over a complete toss-up.
Right. So he was a 2010 freshman All-American. And that year, the Georgia Bulldogs went 6-6 and then lost in the Liberty Bowl to UCF 10-6.
I recall this game. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
So, all right, so I said no. I said I'd take Corral. So that year, and then mind you, Aaron Murray redshirted sitting behind Joe Cox. If I had asked you who he sat behind in 2009, you never would have guessed that. So his redshirt freshman season,
Mark Richt fired immediately. Frankly,
yeah. So he threw in 2010. He threw for 3,049 yards, 24 touchdowns, completed 61% of his passes, and like I said, led them to a 6-6 season. And they went to the Liberty Bowl.
How many picks?
I believe it was 6.
That's it.
Yeah.
Georgia went 6-6
really
with
year.
a 24-6 TD interception ratio.
That is correct.
How?
All right, let me.
Okay, what year is this? I mean, I know we're just.
This is
talking,
2010.
Podcast, whatever.
So here we go. They opened the year with a 55-7 win over Louisiana.
Okay.
Then they lose 4 in a row. This is kind of a rough schedule. They lose at South Carolina 17-6. They lose at home to Arkansas 34-20 or 31-24. They lose on the road at State 24-12, and then they lose on the road at Colorado 29-27. They beat Tennessee, beat Vandy, beat Kentucky,
scoring 40 points or more in all 3 of those SEC wins.
Yeah. Lose to Florida in overtime in the cocktail party game. Beat Idaho State. Then lose to Auburn on the road. Beat Georgia Tech. Then they lose to UCF. So, wild year. This was kind of when Mike Bobo was getting to the end of his rope as OC. And Todd Grantham was there, so you know they were blitzing every single play. The interesting thing for me here, and kind of when I started writing this piece, because I really was mainly wanting to draw parallels between the two, because Matt Corral and Aaron Murray are both physically built very similar. So out of high school, Aaron Murray, 5-star, number 19 overall player from Tampa. He was 6'1", 198 per like the composite, however you want to look at it that way. And Matt Corral was about 6'2", 200 coming out of high school. So similar build, and then they were both have a ton of arm talent. So I'm looking at rivals. Aaron Murray was 6 foot 198. Okay, and so he was number 46 overall player in the country that year in that class per rivals. Chose to go to Georgia over Auburn, Florida, Notre Dame, everybody. So tons of comparisons there with arm talent, things like that. But then the more I started looking at it, the more I was like, well, now hear me out. The defenses are bad, or I guess the defense is bad. But that year was essentially Aaron Murray and A.J. Green and just like a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, because I had to look this guy's name up to even remember it. Their leading rusher in the Liberty Bowl that day was Sean Ely.
Yeah, I couldn't remember who the running back was. Yeah, he ran for 800 yards and 11 touchdowns that year. So a lot of throwing to A.J. Green. A really good recruiting throwback here for Ole Miss' sake. Marlon Brown was on that team. the big receiver from Harding Academy in Memphis. But yeah, I mean, I think the supporting cast that Matt Corral has on offense is deeper. You've got Scotty Phillips, Isaiah Woolard, both have played in the SEC. Jerry Neely, 5-star, probably going to play a lot. Snoop Connor has really looked good in fall camp. He's probably going to play a lot.
The backs are really good. They're strictly dependent on the offensive line being capable. That's it.
Exactly. So that's where, like, you know, I couldn't really find anything about like that 2010 Georgia offensive line. I don't think many people write about that. But I mean,
the deal with Murray, and look, I think this is relevant though, is we look at Aaron Murray's season here, and I get that some of these defenses were probably good. I don't remember, whatever, it's fine. He scores 6 points in this week 2 game against South Carolina at Williams-Brice. It was a day game, by the way. It was not a night game. That's a little different at South Carolina. 24 against an Arkansas team ends up pretty good, but whatever. Only 12 points against Mississippi State. And then he really gets hot after that. I mean, I know they're not playing great football teams, but the rest of the way, even against number 2 Auburn, they put up 31 at Jordan-Hare. They blitzed Georgia Tech in Athens, and really until the Liberty Bowl, which they just had a clunker. I mean, complete and utter clunker. It was terrible. He threw 2 picks. He threw for less than 200 yards. He got pretty dang good through the midway point of the season. He had growing pains early, and that's where the Corral thing is interesting. It's what Neal and I have talked about. Mm-hmm. It's not fair, but Matt Corral has to be efficient and good immediately. Because these first 3-4 games for Ole Miss, and even these first 2, look, they're still going to play all 12. But to get to 6, to get to whatever you're trying to do from an elevation standpoint, a lot's going to be on Matt Corral's shoulders against Memphis and Arkansas, and he cannot have a clunker like Aaron Murray had in a couple of those games. Just can't do it. They lose.
Right. And he's got to understand, okay, the first 4, in my opinion, hey, those are go get them. Those are games that Ole Miss can win. They're, in my opinion, games they should win.
Anything less than 3-1 and they're behind schedule.
Exactly. So he has to get out the gate, no hiccups. He's got to play well. He's got to be a leader. But then after that, he has got to be able to mentally understand, and as competitive as he is, as fiery, all that stuff, the swagger, he has to know we're not beating Alabama on the road. He's got to be able to manage expectations. He's got to be able to be realistic, and he's got to be able to talk to his guys like, hey, look, let's come out here. Don't worry about the score. Let's just play hard, blah, 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 blah. He's got to be able to manage those speed bumps in the middle. Like you said, he's got to be able to respond and close, in a healthy way, is guess what I'm saying, because he has to know the limitations they have with the defense, unless they just come out in their 2014 Ole Miss defense. It's going to be a bit of a journey, but yeah, mentally, he can't have a 10-6 type game when they really need him to play well.
If Matt Corral only throws 6 interceptions this year, Ole Miss is going bowling.
Oh, man.
Because, just because he's a redshirt freshman, because they're going to pitch the ball around a lot, because, frankly, you don't have even maybe the wide receivers that are as physical in years past. I mean, I would set the over-under at 12.
At interceptions?
Yeah, 12.
Yeah, that's fair.
Something like that.
I mean, I could see something like a throws for 2,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, something like that. I mean, and I do think the receivers that they have, and I've watched far too much Rich Rod film over the last couple of weeks.
You have appeared to really integrate yourself into that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing. That YouTube is the best website in the world. It's amazing what's on there. But what he likes to do, I mean, he kind of prefers to have the smaller, quicker, more agile receiver, and that's what Ole Miss has this year. I mean, they've got Mingo. He's a big dude. DeMarcus Gregory's a big dude. Miles Battle's big, but, you've got Elijah Moore, Braylon Sanders, Jaden Jackson, Danis Jackson, Jordan Jernigan. I mean, you've got these little guys that can play in the slot and be effective. He likes to throw up the seam a ton. They do a lot of, crossing routes. They do a lot of rub routes. Just really quick, easy, high percentage passes that will help Matt Corral. But yeah, in years past with the big, AJ, DK, Lodge, Dante, Laquan, all these big physical guys that handled things on the outside, I think you're going to see a ton more action in between the hashes this year.
I think Rich Rod is comfortable with his depth and his personnel. I mean, I do. We talked to him yesterday. Some of those notes are up. There'll be more up here, but I do sense where he at least thinks he has the tools in his belt, if you will. Because sometimes a new coach comes in and it's like, hey, I just got to wait on my guys. There's nothing I do here. But he really likes Matt Corral. And I was talking to somebody yesterday who said, Corral last year, and I get it was just 4 games, and I get everybody talks about the fight and all that stuff. But in the 3 games where he pretty much knew he was going to play, he prepared well, he operated well, and whatever. I think Matt Corral is one of those guys who doesn't need a ton of surprises, if you will, in the week leading up. Mm-hmm. He has to be able to go, hey, this is our game plan, this is what we're going to do, and let's be very organized and methodical about it. And I think he's done that even from a leadership standpoint. It's, hey, here's our schedule, here's what we're doing, we're overtaking the team. He's got some maturity as a freshman from that standpoint. So it's really going to be a lot of onus on Rich and Matt and those guys to go, okay, Matt, here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do this week. And then, really kind of stick to it, barring the bullets fly in a lot of different directions. I think that surprises will get to him a little bit. But otherwise, I do think he's showing pretty good maturity for a 19-year-old that's having to run an SEC team, be a leader of an SEC program, and, as mentioned, be dang good immediately for them to win enough ball games to exceed expectations.
And I don't know if it might outweigh the weight of, I guess, the pressure, but I think it's comforting for him to know he's not looking over his shoulder anymore. Like, he's the guy. Like, and then last year it was, all right, if Jordan gets hurt or we get a big enough lead, or if we're just getting thumped, then I'll get in.
Now it's go play.
But yeah, now it's I'm the guy. I'm preparing as QB1 every single week.
To the point of he's the same classification as these other dudes, and he's mentoring them.
Yeah, that's what's so wild. And y'all had
dude's
that.
Played less than 100 snaps in his college career, and he's mentoring an entire room of quarterbacks.
Yeah, and now, and this might maybe be a stretch, but I think that he's been a guy that has matured early in his career, in his football career in general, because, went to Oaks Christian, played there, basically as a sophomore, lit up California, and then just blew up as a prospect. Had the whole scuffle with Wayne Gretzky's son. He leaves. Then he goes to Long Beach Poly, on a team that's just loaded. The coaching staff has a bunch of NFL guys on it. So I think that kind of helped mold him as a young player into kind of what he is. I mean, come on. Like, I have to think that Antonio Pierce and TJ Houshmandzadeh probably had some good things to say to him in terms of, hey, let's get you ready to play college football. So he's had all this stuff at his disposal to prepare for this season, basically. I mean, this is what he's been preparing for his whole life, and it's a ton of pressure, but I think that Rich Rod being there and being able to say that he's comfortable with how he handles things, I think is going to help him this season. So, but that's what you said. It's all mental. He's got to be able to handle the ups and downs, because there's going to be both, and that's. He's the guy, he's the leader, so that's ultimately going to decide how this offense operates this season.
So you did not hear it, or you haven't heard it yet, or whatever. Jeffrey today is interviewing Michael Squints Palladores from The Sandlot on air today.
Oh yeah, I have a good buddy of mine works with St. Jude, and he was going there to say hey to the kids.
Yeah, Jeffrey's really interested if Palladores thinks that he is the creator and the invention of the guy taking his shot at a much more attractive female. if he can lay claim to that.
Yeah, the shooter shoot.
Yes,
mantra.
Because as I told Jeffrey, I mean, it's the whole deal where the guy goes, "Hey, what's the worst that can happen? I'm sitting over here and she's still sitting over there. Like, whatever." Like, I get it's a mental block, because, Neal and I have discussed this 1,000 times. He was like, hey, I can never. But, I mean, nobody's going to make fun of you for hitting on the really attractive female.
Yeah, it's I guess the ultimate like, house money scenario.
It is, yeah. I mean, you've got to get over, like, if she's with a group, you've got to get over the ridicule of their eyes.
Yeah.
But otherwise, okay, yeah, make fun of me. Great. All right, fine.
Yeah. I did have a brief moment when my buddy told me that, and I was like, wait, is he the one that was a convicted felon?
Ooh.
But that was that was yeah. Wasn't Squints.
Oh, he's a convicted felon?
Yeah, or something happened. Like he got arrested or did something
Really?
stupid. Yeah, I mean, all those child actors go crazy. What was it Goldberg from Mighty Ducks?
He's certifiable.
He is nuts now. He got in. He's done every drug I think known to man. Yeah. Marty York. What did he do?
Who is that? Oh, is that Yaya?
That's the guy that played. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. He was in like Saved by the Bell, Boy Meets World. Looks like he probably did a lot of steroids, so that's always good. Man, I don't know what he did. Maybe it wasn't him. But yeah, one of the Sandlot kids I think did something. Oh yeah, so he was busted for.
It looks like Squints is the one who's just tried to run the Sandlot thing, the string out as long as he can. Because I'm reading something in 2018 here where it says he's keeping busy with a family and some businesses, as well as appearing at events for the Sandlot whenever he can. So he also starred in Freaks and Geeks, and he was in Gilmore Girls as well.
Okay. So another one. So Squint or domestic violence, but then what's his name? Oh gosh, the main character,
Benny the Jet Rodriguez, or the other one, the dork kid.
Yeah, the newbie.
Tim Geary, Scotty Smalls.
Golly. So yeah, he headbutted a cop at the Houston airport.
Good.
So that's yeah.
Does that get you arrested?
It apparently does in Houston. I don't know if you can do it anywhere else, but yeah, that's crazy.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice mugshot and everything.
Yeah, Wendy Peppercorn went on to have some roles in some different things. She starred in Sin City, Planet Terror, Never Been Kissed, Death Proof, Scream 4, a really cinematic masterpiece there, and more.
Ooh, Death Proof is a wild one. I don't know if you've ever seen that.
And then she stars in the series Rise. She also was in Dwayne Johnson's Rampage per therap.com. So.
Oh, man, she was in that?
That's what it says.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a great film.
There's your Sandlot rundown. We typically end the show with really dumb stuff, so that's what we did today as well. We will be back on Monday. No show tomorrow for, frankly, a variety of reasons. But we're back on Monday at our normal schedule. Shouldn't miss one for a while after that. We should be pretty good. Football starting soon. And then we've got some different events, different things to tell you about. Also, Neal debuted his new finance podcast yesterday. You can find that on the MPW Digital Network. It's in the Oxford Exxon feed now, so give it a listen if you want. And then another Bourbon South is up. And do me a favor, we've got that on its own iTunes spot now, so search it. You can search Bourbon South, you can search MPW Digital, and rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff. We typically do not tell you guys to do that because I just don't like telling you to do homework. But for this one, with new shows, it'd be a huge help for a couple weeks if you would do that. So help me out. We're going to do a price guide kind of bourbon this week. It is already up as you're listening to this, where we look at different price points, pick bottles that we like in those different price points. So that's the show this week. But thanks to Zach for filling in for Neal. We'll be back on Monday.